welcome to another edition of the Whiskey Diaries. My name is Martin Lang, I'm your host, and here we are, Death and Taxes. Today we're going to talk about a very interesting distillery called Laphroaig. Laphroaig has a very rich history. It's an incredible whiskey, and they have done very unique versions, and they're actually really good to the whiskey community. I've been to the distillery myself, but we'll get into that later on. Laphroaig was established in 1815, as the bottle says. Since then, they've been fighting to basically establish themselves as one of the most uniquely flavored whiskies in the world. There was a moment there that Laphroaig and Lagavulin were at each other's throats, suing each other just to create, basically, because apparently the story goes that Lagavulin was trying to imitate Laphroaig's flavor, or the other way around. There's a lot of stories going back and forth. They're both basically in very similar areas, and they draw water from similar places, but apparently Laphroaig draws the water from a more like a pitted stream compared to Lagavulin. There's lots of different versions, but originally, like Laphroaig, what they try to do is just create a really unique whiskey, and you can see the advertising, the latest advertising that Laphroaig has been doing about naming the whiskies and getting people that never try Laphroaig to try them themselves, and just hospital taste comes along. Iodine tastes like a hospital floor, and so on and so on. That's basically how unique Laphroaig's taste can be. One of the main things that I love about Laphroaig and the distillery itself is what they call the Friends of Laphroaig. Each bottle that you buy of Laphroaig, regardless of how many you buy, you will get a little tag on the top, and that tag has a unique serial number that you can go into the website and actually register yourself. And if you become a friend of Laphroaig, what they do is they give you 1 square meters of the plot of land from Laphroaig that you actually get to claim when you go to the distillery. They give you a certificate, and then actually they pay you annually 1 dram of whiskey annually. That's the return that you get for owning a piece of land. Obviously, it doesn't mean, legally speaking, they give you the contract when you sign that you don't actually, it's basically like a gift. There's nothing that you can do, and you can't sell it, you can't do anything with it, but it's a really nice way. The other thing that is really awesome about it is when you actually do go to the distillery and you submit your number, they actually give you a shovel and an umbrella, and they take you to the middle of the lot, and they mark the lot and they put your name on it, and then you just pick a little bit of dirt, and then you get to keep the dirt as well. I think that's really cool. And annually, if you go to the distillery once annually, you will be able to claim your dram of whiskey. Anyway, going back to the whiskey itself, they produce pretty heavily pitted whiskey. They don't do any unpitted versions that I'm aware of. They have a core range that is where we're going to show you, and then we're going to show you a little bit of a special one that is something that we got created in 2008, and then we'll touch on that in a second. So the core range starts with the Select, Laphroaig Select. This actually got introduced not long ago. I think it was 4 or 5 years ago that got introduced to the market. It's a no-age statement on Laphroaig, and it's the entry level. Basically, this goes for about $70 to $78 a bottle. As you can see, we have a fast pour here, because at Death and Taxes we use this as our if you ask for any smoky whiskey and you don't specify, we will give you this one, or this one goes into all our smoky cocktails and stuff, because it is an actually incredible whiskey. It's so versatile, and as well it goes great alone. Again, I'm not sure about the age statement. This is for in Australia, they bottle it at 40% alcohol. That's the first one. Then they jump into Laphroaig 10-year-old. Obviously, this has been a staple for a long time. It's basically the second entry level after that one. 10-year-old, it's a beautiful whiskey as well. I think the ppm is between 30 to 40 ppm. And this one is what a lot of people consider basically a lot of iodine, hospital floors. It smells literally like medicine. As a matter of fact, it's an interesting story as well. Laphroaig was one of the only whiskies allowed to go into prohibition in America, because we were able to convince the American government at the time doing prohibition that Laphroaig was actually medicine. So you can actually buy this from the pharmacy. It was one of the only whiskies that was ever allowed to be imported during the 1920s and 1930s in America. The triple wood, this has been made with different 3 types of wood. sherry, American oak, and I'm not quite sure what the third one is. But the main thing is that this is bottled at 48% ABV, and is actually an incredible whiskey as well. Super complex, and with such a high ABV, the smoke comes a lot stronger than with the 10-year-old. The next one is a quarter cask. The quarter cask means that the second is a double maturation. One is initial American oak, just a normal cask, and then the last 7 months of it, they age it in a cask that's been reduced by the quarter of the sizes of American oak. American oak goes between 200 and 220 liters, so they make the cask reduced to like basically 50 to 60 liters. Now, what this does, it makes the whiskey has a bigger surface area that touches the wood, so it actually ages a lot faster. And then what Laphroaig says is it basically creates a more rounded, a better whiskey. This is at 48% alcohol ABV as well, so quite strong. Again, incredible whiskeys. I can't say any bad words about all these whiskeys. And then the final one that we're going to try is the Càirdeas. Laphroaig Cairdeas. Càirdeas means friendship in Gaelic, and it got created for the Friends of Laphroaig in 2008. It got released on a festival. It's called the Festival of Isles, and it's basically just a music and a malt festival. They released that in that year, in 2008. It's kind of like something like friendship and gift to the Friends of Laphroaig. And since then, it's basically become almost like a cult to buy it every year. I'm a friend of Laphroaig, obviously, and I have basically the last 4 or 5 versions. But before that, like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, any of those versions actually go for a fortune because they only produce it once and that's it. This one gets aged in Madeira cask. They're straight from the barrel, 51.6%, but each year is different. They have done pork casks, they have done all sorts of different casks, and it's actually, if you can get your hands on it, as soon as it goes online, you will get an email from Laphroaig saying, oh, this is going online, and literally half an hour later, it will be all gone. So you have to be really quick, and it's an actually really good whiskey. Laphroaig is always famous for doing a lot of duty-free, so you got like Pedro Jimenez casks, then you got port casks, you got Quan More. There's heaps of different releases that Laphroaig does for different occasions, and I can't say that I have never tried a bad Laphroaig ever. They are an incredible distillery. We will do another session with some of the most super premium versions of like 30-year-old and the 25-year-old that they do, just to touch on that and how special Laphroaig can be. I'm gonna pour myself a little dram of this one because it's actually an incredible whiskey, as I said before, and then I'm gonna bid you farewell. Hopefully you guys enjoy this show, and slàinte mhath.